So how do you prove something exists when you can't see it? I mean, it's one of the oldest, most fundamental questions in all of philosophy. Today, we're diving into a really powerful answer that came from a place you might not expect. Not ancient Greece, not Enlightenment Europe, but 11th century Persia. And we're going to see how that very same idea popped up in a fascinatingly different way in the West hundreds of years later.
All right, let's start with a simple idea to get our heads around this. Picture this. You're walking through a forest, and you stumble upon this beautiful, incredibly complex painting. You don't see an artist, there's no easel, no brushes, nothing. But you know, deep down, someone had to have painted it. The order, the skill, the purpose, it all just screams creator. Now hang on to that feeling, because it's the key to everything we're about to unpack.
So what's our roadmap for this journey? First, we'll tackle that universal question itself. Then, we're going to travel back in time to 11th century Persia to uncover this amazing argument. From there, we'll jump forward to see how a similar thought sparked in the West. And this is the cool part, we'll compare the two, the commander versus the designer. Of course, we'll also face the tough questions and the critiques. Before we ask, why does this idea still stick with us so powerfully today?
Okay, let's begin with the problem itself. And this isn't just some dusty old academic puzzle, right? This is a fundamental question that people and cultures all over the world have wrestled with for thousands of years.
And here's the real challenge for philosophers. If you set aside faith, forget scripture for a moment. Can pure logic and just observing the world around you lead you to a creator? Is there, like, a logical bridge you can build from the world you can see to a creator you can't? For centuries, that's the exact bridge thinkers have been trying to build. And for one really profound answer, we need to go back 1,000 years to Persia, to a thinker named Nasir Khusraw. This guy was a poet, a traveler, a philosopher, and he offered this incredibly elegant argument based on what he saw right in front of his eyes.
Khosraw's point is just stunning in its simplicity. He looked around at the world, the stars, the seasons, even a single flower, and he didn't see random chaos. He saw what he called signs of wisdom. For him, this intricate, perfectly functioning order was the proof, the smoking gun, that the universe operates on the command of a wise and powerful being.
And the key to his entire argument is this one single word, hekmat. Now, this isn't just wisdom in the sense of being smart or knowing a lot of facts. It's so much deeper. It implies a kind of divine skill, a purpose, an intelligent order that's literally woven into the fabric of creation. Think of the wisdom that makes a clock tick, or the wisdom that guides a tiny seed to become a massive tree. It's an active, purposeful intelligence at work.
So let's just trace his logic, step by step. First, pretty simple, just look at the world. Second, notice that it operates with this incredible order and complexity, those signs of hikmet. Third, and this is important, you have to acknowledge that the world itself, a rock or a river, it isn't conscious, it doesn't have a mind of its own. So his fourth and final step is the logical leap. Since the world shows wisdom but doesn't have its own mind, that wisdom has to come from somewhere else, an external intelligent source. A commander, actively guiding it all.
Okay, now let's hit the fast-forward button. We're going to jump forward 700 years and travel thousands of miles to the west, because an astonishingly similar idea was about to explode onto the scene in European philosophy, and it would become one of the most famous arguments for God's existence ever.
I mean, this is one of those moments in the history of ideas that just gives you chills, right? You've got two completely different cultures, separated by centuries and a continent, and they basically arrive at the same conclusion. It really suggests there's something incredibly intuitive about this way of thinking.
And the parallel is just, wow, it's striking. On one side, you have Nasir Khusraw back in the 11th century saying the world's inherent wisdom points to a commander. Then, 700 years later, you have the English philosopher William Paley saying the world's intricate design points to a designer. Wisdom and design, commander and designer. Two different words, two different eras, but the core logic is almost a mirror image.
Paley's version of this argument, it was so powerful and so easy to grasp that it became legendary. It's known to history as the watchmaker analogy. So here's how it works. Paley says, imagine you're walking along and you find a watch on the ground. You pick it up, you look at all its tiny, intricate gears and springs, all working together perfectly for one purpose, to tell time. You would never, ever think it just randomly appeared there. You'd know instantly it had a maker. Well, Paley then says, just look at the universe. Or heck, just the human eye. It is infinitely more complex than a watch. Therefore, it too must have had a grand designer.
But hang on, are they really saying the exact same thing? I mean, at first glance, it seems like it. But if we dig just a little bit deeper, we start to find some really fascinating, subtle differences in how they saw the world and how they saw its creator.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. For Khusraw, remember, the evidence is wisdom, an active, ongoing intelligence. This means the world isn't just a thing that was made. It's an active agent that is constantly following a command. That makes God an active, ever-present commander. Now for Paley, the evidence is design, a fixed blueprint. The world is more like a passive machine that was perfectly built and then left to run on its own. That makes God the brilliant architect who created it in the beginning. So you see the difference? One sees God as a hands-on, active commander, right here, right now. The other sees God as a master engineer of the past. That's a crucial distinction.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Your support really means a lot and helps me keep creating content for you all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
But, as powerful as these arguments feel, in the world of philosophy, no great idea gets a free pass. And this one, in both its Persian and its European forms, has faced some really powerful critiques over the centuries. So while the idea of a designer or a commander is really intuitive, some of the sharpest minds in history started to poke some holes in it. They started asking some tough questions. Like, is the analogy even a good one? And are there other ways to explain all the complexity we see? So 3 major critiques really stand out. First, you've got the philosopher Immanuel Kant, who raised this mind-bending possibility. What if all that order we think we see out there isn't actually in the world at all? What if it's just something our own brains project onto reality so that we can make sense of it? Then there was David Hume, who pointed out a huge flaw in the analogy itself. He said, look, we know how watches are made because we've seen lots of them, but the universe is a one-of-a-kind thing. We have zero experience with universe makers. And finally, of course, modern science, especially Darwin's theory of evolution, came along and offered a powerful new explanation that unguided natural processes, given enough time, can create the very same complexity that looks like it was designed.
So with all these heavy-hitting critiques, you might think, well, that's it, right? Case closed. But it's not. The argument from design, or from wisdom, hasn't just disappeared. It is still one of the most popular and persistent ideas out there, and for a very good reason.
At the end of the day, these arguments tap directly into our very human need for meaning. We are pattern-seeking animals. We're storytellers. When we look up at the stars or into a microscope, the sheer, mind-boggling intricacy of it all can feel like it has to mean something. It must have a purpose. And this argument gives that powerful intuition a name, and it gives it a logic.
And that really brings us to the final, crucial question. And this one is for you to think about. When you look at the incredible complexity of the world, from a spinning galaxy to a single cell, are you genuinely seeing the handiwork of a commander or a designer, or are you maybe just seeing a reflection of your own mind's profound, built-in desire to find a purpose in all the chaos? The answer to that question, well, it tells us just as much about ourselves as it does about the universe.